Perfect. It's a great day. We are right on dot to start our webinar. Hi, hello, and welcome to this webinar on do-it-yourself features of Pardot. I'm Anandan, your host today from DemandBlue marketing team. With an app exchange rating of 4.94 on 5, 292 Salesforce certifications, and more than 200 completed projects, we are DemandBlue, and we offer Salesforce services to our customers through a unique on-demand services engagement model. Before we go into today's presentation, please remember that the content used for this presentation will be shared with all the participants. And we'll have two breaks to answer any questions that you might have, one at the 30-minute mark and another at the end of the presentation. Please use the chat window to ask away any questions or clarifications that you need answers for. Now, introducing the presenting team today, we have Atul Mathur, certified Pardot consultant and part of our customer success team. Lokesh Rekapalli, certified Pardot and marketing cloud consultant from the technical development team. And Ilayamaran, certified Pardot consultant and who is ready to take you on a journey into Pardot with his live demos. Hi team, so I think you're all ready. And once again, before we go, the content you see will be shared with all of you, and please use the chat window for any questions. Over to the presenting team. Take it away, Atul.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Anandan. It's a great day, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based upon wherever all of you are. As part of this session, we have divided it into 4 separate sections. First is we would like to talk about the do-it-yourself features on Pardot, followed up by Q&A sessions. So any questions that you have, you are welcome to put those questions in the chat window, and we can then take those questions. After that, we want to go ahead and then talk about some of the best practices on Pardot, and which will be followed by another Q&A session. Now, to start with, we wanted to talk about a few of the do-it-yourself features which can really be helpful for you to ensure that you utilize your Pardot instance to the maximum. There are 4 key parts or features which we wanted to talk about today. First is on the Engagement Studio. Engagement Studio is essentially your lead nurturing engine. This will be followed by some details on the website tracking code, which is the feature of Pardot through which you can track your visitors' activity. Page actions, which are some of the least used Pardot feature, which is essentially anybody comes to a page, Pardot can take automated action. Sounds simple, but can be really useful in order to chart your customer's journey. And then finally, about email templates, which is essentially a design which can be used to create emails and then use those to share our marketing communications with the prospects. Now, we would like to first start with Engagement Studio. Engagement Studio is essentially, it's a program which helps you drive intelligent, automated programs to engage the prospects at every step of the journey. So what we'll be doing is that we'll be sharing some important points about how to build the programs and some of the tricks for success. So with this Engagement Studio, it's possible to build automation and then ensure that with that you send targeted emails to your prospects depending upon what's their behavior, how are they interacting with our marketing assets, and then based upon that build automation. The power of Automation Studio is also in the fact that we can learn based upon what we are seeing. So if we see that there is a particular change and then there is an opportunity to optimize our overall prospect behavior, then we can added the engagement studio, we can go and we can change it, and then we can again restart. So through that, it becomes really useful, and this is a very powerful tool. What we also want to talk about is some of the use cases. So essentially, there are various ways in which, as a marketer, you can utilize Engagement Studio. And what we have done is we have just picked a few of them and to check and work with you to tell about how you can utilize it. First of all, it can be utilized for a welcome journey. So that's the first touch point with your customer. Let's say your customers have gone and then they have just registered for a newsletter. They don't know anything about you and you don't know anything about them. So that's when you can go and you can put them on a welcome journey, which will give them a brief about your company, your products, your services, what you stand for, and how they can benefit from it, while also use it for progressive profiling to get more and more details about prospects and their behavior, so that your sales team have much more details when if that prospect goes into the next stage. What it can also be used is to nurture journeys for prospects who are there and then with whom you have a relationship and they know about you. But what need to be done in order to go and move them to the next stage? So that's the nurture journey, where you can take them through that journey and ensure that they get all the emails at appropriate intervals, through which they get more and more details about your products, about your services, what are the, based upon their behavior, we can target any specific product or service offering that you have, so that they know more about your products and then build up that interest level. Apart from it, one key usage of Engagement Studio is also to re-engage inactive prospects. So prospects data that you have, that's something which is very specific to you. And then a large part of them may be inactive, or they are not interested in your products. Let's say they don't know much about you, they are not interacting with your marketing assets. At that point in time, what you can do is you can put them in an inactive prospect journey and then ensure that you send them appropriate targeted communication and see that based upon it, if we can reignite the interest level and ensure that some of them become active, and those who doesn't become active, we'll still keep them. We can either go and maybe put them into a do not email list so that your email deliverability improves, or what you can also do is you can continue to engage with them. One of the most interesting aspects of Engagement Studio is on the onboarding part, and it's one of my favorite because it has multi-pronged benefits. It can be used to onboard a new customer. Let's say there's a customer who has just bought your product or a service. Now is the time when you want to take them through a journey through which they will know more about, let's say, some of the technical aspects of the product, or what is the specific service plan that they have purchased. They want to know more about it. Or after that, what's their billing or invoice contact. All of those at appropriate interval, you can share that information so that the customer onboarding is smoother. What it can also be used is to onboard your partners. Some of you must be working in a B2B environment where having an appropriate partner ecosystem is crucial. And at that point in time, it's imperative that you onboard your partners in a proper way. And more than that, this can also be utilized to onboard your internal employees as well, which is a very good use case, so that you build appropriate Pardot related all the users will also get the right details. And then finally, this can be used to also used for a webinar or an event follow-up, so that if there is a webinar or an event that you're organizing, You can use Engagement Studio to see who are the participants and then use this automation to send them, let's say, more details a week before or a reminder a day before. All of that can be automated and you don't need to worry about that all your participants have got the right information on time. Now that we have talked about the some of the use cases, I guess this is the time when we should go and look at a quick demonstration. And for that, I would like to invite Ilayamaran from my team. Ilayamaran, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thanks Atul. Thanks Anandan for your great introduction. Yeah, Atul just explained about Engagement Studio, right? So what we're gonna see here is what are the features involved, what are the options involved, all those things we're gonna see here. So I'll just show you my screen. Yeah. So so this is the engagement studio that is available within Pardot, right? We're gonna choose it from marketing and then engagement studio. So these are the demo programs that we created. I'm gonna show like how the one which we already created and how we're gonna create it now. Okay. So I'm just clicking on this. Okay. So I'm just clicking an add program. So let's see how we're going to start this. Okay. So so for example, we took a scenario of a what do you say, nurturing the leads, right? So for example, once we click on the add program, we just type the program name, nurture program. So things like that. So customize your name as per your requirement. So after that, we're going to choose folder, which folder we're going to use it, then add the description, and then you can add the recipient list. For example, here we created a nurture new leads. So in our scenario, we took a scenario of nurturing the new leads, right? So for this, we choose a recipient list called nurture new lead. So whenever a new lead comes in, they add into this specific list by default because there's a dynamic list. So then we can choose the suppression list. Here, for example, I'm choosing customers. For example, why I choose customers by mistake. Also, we don't want to send emails to our customers. So whenever we onboard a customer, we put them into this specific list so that we don't send to the customers by mistake. Then we have an option for choosing the days. So we can choose the business days as well, or you can choose the weekends as well, because this is very customizable. This is actually based on your business scenario. For example, if you want to send nurturing emails and you want to target them in the business days, you can choose the business days. So coming to the next is the start date. The time that it's going to start, and then end the time that is going to end. For example, you can provide a time between 6 to 24 hours. The minimum is 6 and then maximum is 24 hours. So you can choose between the time, which time works for you best. Okay. And then you can choose the time zone. For example, we have when you send emails, you'll have a lot of prospects across time zones, right? For example, EST, CST, PST, and then you'll have people across time zones. So choose the program when you want to send the engagement program. You can customize the list for a specific EST time zone and then put them in EST time, select the EST time zone here, so that all the prospects within that specific time zone will receive the emails at right time. So once everything is done, click on save, and then we'll have an option called options from here. So you can choose the plus icon here so that you will see a lot of options here. That is action, trigger, rule, and then end. So to start the program, first is action. What action I'm going to do for this program? So you have a lot of options like add to list, add to programs, adjust score, apply tags, and then a lot more. So first we're going to choose send email. Okay. So one thing I want to say, so before starting an engagement program, because you're going to give you need to give perfect journey for your customer, for your prospect, right? The journey should be something that they are like, you're going to treat them properly, right? You have to treat them properly. You like how which journey you're going to take them. So before starting this program, understand all the features that is available within engagement program, and sit with your marketing team and the Pardot admin, and then also include your stakeholders if needed, and then decide how the prospect journey is going to be. So based on that, create all the email templates and then put it in Pardot. While you create the program, you can choose that specific email templates. For example, we loaded with the nurturing email 1, 2, 3. So this is the journey that we're going to give to our prospects. So I'm choosing nurturing email 1. For example, this is my first email. I'm going to send it to my prospects, right? And then I'm choosing between immediate or wait. For example, I want to send the email immediately when the when I click on the start. So it sends it immediately. So I just want to wait for some 10 or 5 days. That depends on your business need, right? So here I choose 5, and then it based on your requirement, you can choose it any days. So once I click on save, I'm going to choose what trigger I'm going to do for this, for the email that I sent. So I sent the email, nurturing email 1. So what trigger I'm going to give is, I'm going to check whether the email is open, click, or any custom data test click. So all those things. So right now, this is my first email, I'm going to check whether my prospects are opening my email. So I'm just checking the email is opened or not. Okay, so I choose which email that I need to check the trigger for, and then I'm choosing wait days. So how many days I need to wait, or it's a maximum of days. Okay, so I'm just waiting for 5 days and then clicking save. So now I have a 2 option that goes into yes or no. Once it is opened, it takes this journey, and then if it doesn't open, it takes this journey. Okay, and you can add another action here, and then you can send another email who has opened. You can choose number 2. So this is how you can choose multiple options. For example, you can validate the prospect based on the rule by using the rule, right? For example, you sent an email, and then you need to check which score they are in. The overall score is greater or lesser, and you can add even additional conditions. I think you can add up to 5 conditions within a single rule. So let me show the program which we already created. So that you can understand how it looks. Okay, so the one which we already created is, sorry, it has a lot of features. Like I just started with uh, this scenario. For example, nurturing email 1, and then nurturing email, whether it's opened or not, all those things I check. So this is how we're going to create a prospect journey is. So please make sure you provide the best journey that is possible to your prospects, so that your based on your journey that you set for your prospect, your response rate or your performance of email campaign will get improved. So make sure you have perfect you make perfect decision on that. So moving to the next slide, we have yes, we have a website tracking code. So what is website tracking code within Pardot? Okay, so whenever we create a Pardot campaign, it provides a unique tracking code that we put in our website. So with that data, with that code, we get all the data that our visitors or prospects, whenever they visit our website. Okay, so it provides all the details, like which page URL they visited, which page, the title of the page, and then type of entry. For example, it's at which point they entered, or which source they came into your website, and the time, date, everything it shows based on the tracking code that you put in your website. So what we're going to see here is, actually people think like whenever we need to place code in our website, we need the help of the developer. But here, it's, as this is a do-it-yourself webinar, we're going to see how marketer can by themselves can put the code on their website with the help of Google Tag Manager. I'll show you the demo how it works. Okay, so I'm bringing up the screen for you. So this is the one Pardot campaign that we created. Okay, So the campaign which we created, and then the data we started receiving when we place the Pardot tracking code in our website. So here is where you're gonna get your Pardot tracking code. Then you click on view tracking code and copy this entire code without any. Okay, copy this entire code and then go to, this is the Google Tag Manager that everyone should be knowing, right? All the marketers will be knowing this, I guess. And then we'll have a tags here, and then you can click on add new tag. So customize the naming. So customize the naming based on your requirement. For example, I'm entering Pardot website tracking, so it depends on you. And then you can click the edit icon, and then we get the option called custom HTML tag. So place your code that we copied from the Pardot campaign, and then choose your trigger. What trigger, like where all the triggers should happen. For example, it should be triggered in all pages or any specific pages or any button that are in place on the website. So choose the triggers based on that. So in my case, I'm just choosing all the pages. Okay. So and then clicking save. Once we click on save, that's it. We're gonna start getting this, getting the data of all the visitors. So make sure your Google Analytics code is already in place on your website, because as we use Google Tag Manager, Google Tag Manager gets the data from Google Analytics code that is placed in our website, right? So make sure you place your code. The best practices of placing the tracking code would be like, if we should always paste the code in header or footer, so that whenever you create new pages, it start getting the data by default. You don't have to think about, oh my god, I just whether I place the code on this page, on this new page or not. So you don't have to think about it. So it works every time whenever you create a new page, if you put it in the header or footer. So this is how you start getting the data of the visitors. For example, when we click on this, we see what is the source of, what is the host name or something like all those things we get. And then once we click on page views, so what are the pages, how they entered, how much of second they spent in this page, and when did they left. So all those data we can get here. Okay. So if they came from Google Ads, you'll also get the source Google Ads, and then which campaign they used, all those data we get. It's awesome, right? Okay. So moving to the next topic, that is page action. So page action is something very related to website tracking, because once website tracking code is in place, that's when page action will start triggering for the specific page that you provide. So what do we need page action, first of all, right? So when we put a website tracking code in our website, it tracks all the pages. It doesn't. So this is the prospect activities that we'll be seeing in the prospect page, right? So once we click on website, so it shows all the pages, like it shows like count of the pages. It doesn't show this page has been visited, right? It doesn't show like that. So how do you get that? With the help of page action. So let me show how that works as well. Okay. So this is the page action. How like you can go to marketing and then automation, then page action. So once we click on that, we'll reach this page, and then this is the one which we already created, and I'll also show how to create a new one. So once you click on add page action, you'll get these things. So you can see here, right? By default, it says pricing page. So Pardot itself, they say so place the price, create a price actions for page actions for pages that are more intent, that is more has a higher buying potential pages that is available in your website. For example, pricing pages, product details, all those things, whatever you think that is that has a higher intent, buyer intent page in your website. Okay. And you can also use, and we have another scenario for this. For example, you can use a careers page, because you want to make sure that whoever visits career page or they're going to look information. They're not going to buy your product. They're not going to be your customers, right? For them, you can put, for example, careers job page or something like that, and then you can put a negative score, so that when they visit a careers page, it reduces the score by this number. It doesn't increases. For example, here I see, here you can see, I just mentioned Linux of pricing page, and then if anyone visits this specific page, it increases the score to by 10. It doesn't increase to 10, it is increased by 10. Okay, so why do we need this specific page score? Because by default, it consumes the because we must have implemented the website page scores, right? For example, every page they visit, it increases by 1 or 2 whichever you give by default. But this one is a special one. If we provide this, it shows like this specific page. If the prospect visits, they get a 10-point additional, so that you have more, your marketing qualified lead can be improved, and you can add a scoring category as well, and then you can put priority page. So once we check this, this is the reason why we get this option here. It shows like, it shows in a special row saying this page was visited. The reason behind this, checking this box. Okay, and then with the help of completion action, whenever your prospect visits this specific page, for example, here I'm notifying my sales reps. Okay, so when my prospect visits this specific page, the sales rep get alert, so they can get in touch with the prospect on time without any time loss. Okay, so that, and my sales rep has more value about more information about the prospect, right? Because they have visited this page, and then where they visited, how they came in, all those data we get through website tracking. And I can also add to CRM campaign, so that it is added to CRM campaign, and it helps to follow up in proper way. And then you can choose any of these options here, available here. So this is all about page actions that is available. So moving to the next is an email template. So Pardot email template has more features like, you can provide access to any specific users. For example, in our case, marketing team creates the Pardot email templates, and then sales team also uses that, right? But then we need to make sure sales team doesn't edit some certain content. So we make sure we provide all those attributes, like they don't want to edit that specific part. So I'll put a attribute saying like, this page are restricted, this page can be edited, and this page can be this content can be repeatable, and this one can be removable by sales step. They can't edit that. Okay, so such kind of restrictions you can give to that specific templates. And then by default, if you choose Pardot email templates, it's very responsive and mobile friendly. It's by default. We don't have to do anything for that. And then always create a text version for your email template. So we'll show how to create the email template as well. So this is the email template page. So whenever you create an email template, that will be available here, wherever you want to use it. For example, you want to use it in engagement program or anything like that. Then I'm just opening the one which we already created, and I'll show how to create email template and what are the options available. So this is the name here, and then I'm just entering demo 1 2 3 4. Then add tags. You can add the tag, so that it helps to bring up that specific. For example, if you're running any specific campaign, saying for example, Salesforce CRM, Salesforce CPQ kind of thing, and then create a tag for Salesforce. So with the help of that, you can identify the assets, Pardot assets, very easily. That helps. Tag helps in that way. And then you can choose the folder, whichever you need, and then choose the campaign. I'm choosing Pardot demo campaign here, and then I'm choosing the email tab, whether it's a HTML text or text only. And then this option available for is something that very much interesting, because you can choose where this email template should be available for, whether it should be available within engagement program or list emails or autoresponder or one-to-one. So why do we need to choose this? Okay, it saves time actually. For example, if you select engagement program emails, it only shows up in engagement program emails. It doesn't show up in list emails. So whenever you want to send a list email, it only shows the HTML templates that are available for list emails. And whenever you select its engagement program alone, it only shows up in the engagement program. It doesn't show all the emails, and we need to choose that specific email from the tons of email that we already created, right? So make sure you select which one you need, and you can choose all the options also that is also available, and then click save. So this is the layout templates that I discussed earlier. For example, we have multiple templates. All these are responsive by default. So choose the template accordingly based on your requirement and which design you like. Okay. For example, in my case, I'm choosing this template. So this is how I get the template. This layout loads like this in my editor section. And then I'll go to the template which we have already created. So this is how the template looks. So here I have used the pre-header tab and then view in browser tab, and all these are that helps your prospect to view the template easily. So we have an image one, and then I used a dynamic content and then image here, and then I used a footer with organization email. This is variable tag. It gets the data from your account. Okay, and then use unsubscribe all, and then up your preference page as well. And I'm just checking edit email template. We have multiple options for building, testing, and then sending. With under building, we have editor, HTML, preview, text. So this is the pre-header which we already said, and then this is the. So why do we need view in browser tag basically? So for example, if any of the email content is not loaded properly, so that your prospect can click on view it on browser tag, and then it loads up in the browser, and then all your contents are visible in the browser, so that they can go through all your template. Okay, then we have a content here, and then I use dynamic content. Let's show how it works. Okay, so this is how this is the dynamic content place. So once you click on this, you get all the dynamic content that is loaded. And then, for example, in my case, I used Salesforce product content. Okay, I'll show how it works in the preview tab. So once everything is done, go to HTML. If you need any changes here, you can make it. Then go to preview tab. So you can choose preview as prospect. For example, this is the general one. It shows dynamic content. And then if I select this specific prospect, it choose Sales Cloud here, because this dynamic content matches the email this specific prospect. So that's the reason it shows dynamic Sales Cloud logo, Sales Cloud logo. And then if I choose different prospect, it shows different image, because the content that we created matches that specific prospect. I'll show how it works. So this is the dynamic content that we created. Actually, this helps to personalize the content when you send it to your prospect. So this is how it works. I'll edit this and then show exactly how it works. So this is the default content. It loads up if any of your prospect doesn't match this specific value. For example, I choose Salesforce product. Salesforce product, if it is equal to Sales Cloud, it shows Sales Cloud logo. And then if it is equal to Marketing Cloud, it shows Marketing Cloud logo. And then if it is equal to CPQ, and it shows this logo. So this is how dynamic content works. This amazing, right? So this helps to personalize the best content that you send it to your prospect. So with this, when you go to text version, this always have the text version properly formatted, because it doesn't happen automatically. So whenever you make changes in your HTML, always do the sync from HTML, and then it sync all the data, but the formatting will not be proper. So make sure you format the content properly by arranging it manually. So it helps for your prospect to go through your text version properly without any issues, right? Then go to testing. So testing is where we need to spend a lot of time after creating the email template. We need to test multiple times before sending it to our prospect. That is very much needed, right? So always test your email template by choosing test list, or you can use a new render. So once you click new render, it starts rendering. So it takes some 10-20 minutes to completely render the template across the mobile client, web clients, okay? Web, mobile, or desktop clients. So I'll just show how the one which we already tested. So this is how it loads. It loads like it shows data for email clients, subject line preview, and then spam analysis. So email clients, it do the testing across these vendors. For example, it's Outlook 2010, and then 2013, 2016, all those templates. It loads in these clients and then show how it works. If you open this and then if any of the content is not loaded properly, you can change the content and then do the re-rendering, so that it helps to improve the best. It helps to so that we can make sure, right? Okay, all these works properly. So and then spam analysis. So here come like this spam analysis is the one best thing I can say. So Pardot uses all these mailbox providers spam techniques, and then try to validate whether how it passes the spam, whether it passes the spam filter or not. So once everything is passed, we are good to go. If any of it is failed, it will Pardot itself shows the data, shows the content, like what needs to be improved. All those things is can be implemented, and then do the re-render whether it is passing or not. So once everything is passed, we are good to go, good to send the email. So and then coming to the last section, that is sending. So sending is where we choose senders, right? So I mean, but we have multiple options. Whether it's a general user, so you can customize the content, customize the name and from email address, and then if you can also choose specific user. If you have multiple Pardot users, you can choose any of them, okay? And then you can choose custom reply. And if we are not choosing this, it takes the sender itself as a custom reply too. And then we have a subject line wherein we can choose. We can even insert a merge tag here, and then dynamic content. For example, in my case, I used hi recipient name. If for example, if we're sending email to John, it says like, hi John, this is the demo email, thanks for attending. All those things can be included, and you can also include smileys here. So click save, and then done. Your email template is done. Then we're good to send the emails. So that's it. We saw the demo. So going to the Q&As, from here, Atul can take the Q&As. Thanks, Atul.
Thanks, Ilayamaran. This was really interesting. I really enjoyed knowing about some of these do-it-yourself features. So there is a Q&A button at the bottom in Zoom app. So you can always share some of the questions there, and then we'll either answer it there or we'll answer it as part of these two separate Q&A sessions.
Atul, yeah, I have two questions from our participant, our attendees today. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Question number one is, what happens if I add a prospect to your running program in Engagement Studio?
Ilayamaran, would you like to take it up?
Yes, Atul, I'll do that. So what happens when you add prospect to a running program? So we should make sure before adding to the running program, we should make sure that whether your program is running on the date wise or the day wise. If it is day wise, it's fine. It start from the beginning. Whenever you add the prospect, it start from the beginning, right? If it is date wise and the date is already over, and then your prospect will not even enter into any of the journey, because the date is already over. So make sure that you whether it can be like future date or it's a day wise. So I guess the question is answered, right?
One more question here. I think this is on the email templates. Are all the email templates responsive, or are the only ones that are labeled as responsive?
I think all the email templates are responsive. You can check that it doesn't like whatever mentioned responsive is responsive. All the templates, all the layout templates are responsive within Pardot.
Okay, thank you, team. I think we are getting more and more questions here. Let's take it all up during our end of the session, so that let's move on ahead. Thank you.
Perfect. I guess we'll then take all the rest of the questions at the end of the session. So moving on, now we are at the second half of our webinar, and I would like to take up start the next session, which is to share some of the best practices on Pardot. What we have done is we have divided the best practices into 3 separate parts. Best practices related to Pardot configuration, best practices related to email marketing, and finally, and most interestingly, the best practices related to marketing metrics. Let's start first with the Pardot configuration. Here, I wanted to talk about 5 key best practices, which I believe are very imperative to ensure that you have an optimal Pardot instance. First of all, you should always verify your SPF and DKIM entries. What it essentially does is it authorizes Pardot to send the email on your behalf, and it authenticates that the email is coming from you and it's not a spam. So as a marketer, when you have spent a lot of time and effort in all your email designs, all the campaigns, and after that on creating those lists, and then when you are executing those campaigns, you have to be sure that your email goes and reaches your prospect's inbox. And for that, having verified SPF and DKIM entries are vital. What we also want to do is we want to enable SSL and HTTPS for the tracker domains. So essentially, now we have been seeing that increasingly more and more websites, if you go there, they are on HTTPS and not on HTTP. So what it essentially ensures is that all the communication that you are having with that website, it's over a secure channel. And in the current security environment, that is something which commands a premium. So we have we can enable secure socket layer, which is SSL, and once we have the HTTPS for our tracker domain, it could be like go.pardot.com or go.yourwebsite.com, or it could be any other vanity URL. But if it's secured, that's ensures that your marketing assets and the content reaches your prospects. Even in the latest changes which are coming in all the modern browsers, including Chrome, if you have, let's say, a mixed set of content with someone SSL and HTTPS and some who are not, it would cause an issue with rendering going forward. So please ensure that we follow this best practice. What I would like to also talk about is connected campaigns. We know that we have our campaigns in Pardot and we have our campaigns in Salesforce. And fundamentally, those are different. On Pardot side, we have a campaign which is essentially nothing but it's a first touch. And then on Salesforce side, we have campaigns which is a collection of related marketing activities towards a particular goal. Now, if we connect those campaigns, what happens is that then you can manage and you can create campaigns in Salesforce, and they automatically gets pushed and copied into Pardot. And then we have a single way of managing those campaigns and having appropriate reporting, because all the metrics and the data from Pardot flows into the Salesforce campaign, and then you can see the engagement history and the Pardot performance and the campaign performance right into Salesforce. What is also essential is to have appropriate user sync. Now with user sync, what happens is that the overall management of all the users who have access to Pardot, it moves from Pardot into Salesforce. So there is a single place where all the users are managed, and that is by our Salesforce admins, and they get assigned appropriate roles based upon mapping those roles to Pardot to Salesforce profiles. and it makes the administration a lot easier. And finally, and last but not the least, the last best practice what I wanted to talk about is to use Pardot configuration, which is one of the most important aspect, because you may have a huge list of prospects. It may go into thousands. And then your work is to filter out those prospects and then give a concentrated set of those prospects to your sales as a marketing qualified lead. But how do you differentiate between those prospects? There are two ways of doing it. First is using lead scoring, which essentially looks at how much a particular prospect is interested in you. So with each interaction with our marketing asset, we will assign an appropriate score, and then we'll define an appropriate score, which means that at that point, we think that the prospect is interested into us, and it's the time when we should pass it on to sales. There is another way of looking at it, and that's the grading, which essentially means how much we are interested in a particular prospect. So we can define, for example, what we can do is we can define, let's say, anybody who is a director or a vice president or a president in a financial services company is someone whom we would like to talk to. That's one of the most, it matches the profile of person who would probably be interested in our product or services. So we'll define those gradings, and then based upon the higher the grade, the more we know that that prospect matches our criteria, and then we can then move them as a marketing qualified lead. Now, with that, the next part is on the best practices for email marketing, and that's where I would like to again invite Ilayamaran to provide us with more details.
Thanks, Atul, for your time. So when we see best practices of email marketing is, so whenever I create an email marketing, make sure that these best practices are definitely followed, and this will be a very basic one. Okay, so first thing is like get an explicit permission from your prospect, because that helps reduce the spam rate, bounce rate, or something. So all those things. Okay, and then second is remove the unengaged prospects, because when you remove unengaged prospect, your open rate can be increased and your delivery rate can be increased. So always remove the unengaged prospects. And then the third one is manage your list, because that is very important, right? Because that can break down your list basically, because that can help you to provide a personalized message, send a personalized messaging based on the list. For example, if you're segmenting your list based on titles or industry or a location, you can choose the best messaging to that specific list. Okay, so rather sending the whole list and then a common message to all the list, it always helps to send a personalized message to that specific list. And then always validate your database, because the article, the research says almost like every 6 months our database can be outdated. So make sure you always validate your database using email validation tools. For example, we are not recommending these tools, but there are some tools that are available. I just mentioned Quick Email Verifier and then Never Bounce. Okay, so moving to the next slide, that is email templates. The best practice that we should follow in the email templates. So first thing is make sure you use proper font size and font family and then color, because we should not like start with one font family and then end with another font family. Make sure you have a proper font family across the email template. So the next is always have a text version that I already told, right? It helps improve your deliverability rate, because some of the email clients doesn't accept the HTML or image at the first. They just receive the text versions, and then once they are fine, they're gonna download it. So that is how it works. So make sure you have text versions by default every time you send an email. So always do a A/B testing of your email so that you can understand which one works best. For example, when you send a A/B testing, make sure you don't change entire content with A and B. So make sure you change slight tweak, that is one or two, just so that you can understand which one works better. For example, if you change the subject line in A, also change the subject line in B, and then don't change, like in A you change subject line and then B you change the content. We will not know which one works better, right? Which version works best. So how you can A/B testing is, for example, if you have 10,000 of your prospects, and then you can choose 1,000, and then with that 1,000 it splits, like A version send it to 500, and then second B version is sent to under that remaining 500. So the version which wins will be sent to remaining 9,000. Okay, so that this helps us like improve the open rate, and then it helps to improve the send the best content to the your prospects. And third, next is make sure you have a proper CTA in place, and then it is highlighted, and then with the simple word, don't include too much of content to the CTAs. So it should be simple, and then it's like easily viewable by your prospects. And then have and always personalize your content so that you'll get a better response rate. Then next one is about subject line. So make sure you have a best subject line in place, because that is going to decide whether your open rate is like how your open rate is going to be. For example, people not going to read your content first, right? They're going to read your subject line and pre-header. So make sure you have it proper, and also follow all the best practices that are in place. For example, keep it short, don't use spam words, and then don't use too many capital letters, don't include much numbers, and then don't use any special characters. Don't use too many special characters, I would say, because that can put your emails into spam box directly. And then the next is what is the best time and day that you can send emails to. And with the research, people say Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday are the best days, and then time would be like 10 a.m., 8 p.m., and then 2 p.m., 6 a.m. So make sure you have these things tested in that specific time zone. For example, don't mix the audience and then send it. For example, your prospect can be in EST, CST, and then PST, and then if you send it, if you schedule your email based on EST time zone, CST people will get in different time, and other will be getting different time. So make sure you have a proper list customized. Okay, and then always remove your prospects from your Pardot who are inactive more than 12 weeks, because this helps in different ways. For example, it can helps to reduce the database, because Pardot database is we need to buy additional database whenever our leads are increasing, right? So always make sure you remove your prospects who are not active, and then with that you can add new leads to that, so you don't have to buy new database for Pardot. And then always have the time between emails. For example, keep 8 to 10 days, because that is the one best days sending emails between. For example, don't send emails within 2 or 5 days. Okay, it always have best to keep 8 to 10 days when sending a second email, follow-up email kind. And then this is about email length. Okay, so subject line, or like this is a best practices, I would say. Like make sure your subject line is 28 to 50 characters, and then pre-header is 40 to 100 characters, and then email length can be like 50 to 125 words or 500 to 600 words. Or why do we need so shorter characters, in the sense like your prospect is going to spend how much time they're going to spend in your content. They will be spending like hardly 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So within those seconds, you need to catch their attention. So make sure you have your message put in this small characters. Okay, and then moving to the next section, this is the marketing matrices. I invite Lokesh to take it from here.
Thank you, Ilayamaran. Good morning, all. Let's look at the let's get to the part where we are going to talk more about the KPIs and metrics, right? And again, mind you, this is the last part of our session. Before we wind up, we'll quickly glance through what are the different marketing KPIs, how that helps the business to understand things. So yeah, as we marketers, we all know there are a number of matrices or the KPIs that usually our CMO or VP of marketing keep asking. But we have taken some of the most used KPIs, and I will also run you through on a couple of things how it works. Right? Let's take an example. Delivery rate, deliverability rate. So what is delivery rate? When you send 100, when you send an email to 100 recipients, how many how out of the 100, how many emails are placed directly in the inbox? That's called as the deliverability rate, right? Let's take an example of cost per lead, right? As we know, part of our marketing engagement programs, we are spending dollars and dollars to generate leads. So if you, based on the spending, how many leads are we generating? Put it as the cost per lead. Okay. Finally, we will also just quickly look at what is lead quality. What is lead quality? We know, right? There are going to part of our marketing activity. We are generating numbers of leads, and we have certain filter criteria that we generally apply. What are they? Some are marketing qualified leads, some are sales qualified leads, and so what is the quality of lead you generate that passes through these two filters? That's what the lead quality KPI indicates, right? With that, we also need to understand that these KPIs helps us to understand where we stand in terms of our marketing efforts, where we lag, where we lead, what are the things we need to tweak such a way that we increase our performance as marketers, right? Again, with that, let's look at the next section. Benchmarking, right? So we all know the resources are finite in the market, right? We as marketers competing against each other to target the same set of finite set of resources. Now, both the competitors are sending emails. What is the industry benchmark? How am I doing? There is this wonderful website, campaignmonitor.com. This website provides you insight about what is the average industry rate. For example, out of 100 emails you send in this particular industry, 17.8 is the average. So how are we performing? Are we up to the industry mark? These kinds of insights helps you to understand whether you are helps you to benchmark yourself on how you are performing against the industry benchmarks. Okay. With that, we will take to the final slide. In the Q&A, we saw there were a couple of questions about how you measure your engagement and how the reports works. So with that, I'll cover this part. B2B marketing analytics. What is it? By definition, B2B marketing analytics is an Einstein app that is built on top of Pardot, right? What it does, it provides you the ability to build different dashboards based on different Pardot data, and which you will be able to make it as a slice and dice data dashboard. Okay, so do I need to really build it? Yeah, that's an option you have. Else, the app itself comes with 5 different dashboards, which the moment you install the app, you will be able to access it. I'm telling you, with my experience, there are CMOs who love to use this dashboards on a daily basis. What are the dashboards? What does that insight that gives us to us? Let's look at it. First, the engagement dashboard. This dashboard gives you a 25,000 feet high level with the option to drill down till the 0 feet. Then, as you see in the screen, right, there are the number of emails sent, how many have been unique opens, what is the unique rate, and let's be mindful, you will be able to slice this data as much as you want with this dashboard. With this dashboard, you will have a complete insight of how your email marketing activity is performing, and are you able to reach your goals, and how the return on investment as being using the engagement, right? With that, we'll move to the next slide. The account-based marketing, the recent buzzword in the marketing and we are all looking at the paradigm shift where people are looking at account-based marketing, strategic marketing, and all those things. So what does this dashboard do? This dashboard gives you a clear insight of how your account-based marketing is contributing to your pipeline, right? You're right. So we have a set of accounts whom we think our target should be, and based on all your marketing efforts, what is the pipeline you have generated from these accounts? Are you able to get the return on investment based on your ABM activities? This is the dashboard which provides you insights about. As you see in this example, right? So this is an example. This is an account-based marketing dashboard that we used, right? Based on the marketer's effort, the marketer has created a pipeline value of 5.6 million, right? So 213 open opportunities were created part of this ABM campaign. So this is the kind of insight you will be able to do it. Again, you will be able to slice and dice based on the date range, or you can go at a specific account level and see which engagement activity is contributed to which pipeline activity. With that, we'll move to the next slide. The marketing manager side. So this helps you in two fronts. One, how is marketing is helping the building of pipeline, the sales pipeline. The first half of the dashboard provides you that insight. What are the stages, how your marketing has contributed to building your pipeline, how many opportunities were there, what are the campaigns that contributed to your total revenue, and all those things. The second part, right, is the engagement health. So what does this do? This engagement health part gives you insight on your various marketing assets and how they are contributing to your pipeline growth, right? Yeah, we all know it's not one activity. Just sending an email or just conducting a webinar is not going to contribute to your sales, right? With that, this gives you a complete insight of how different assets are performing and how they are contributing to your pipeline. Next one, this is the most interesting one, see, we all understand that it's not one email or one phone call from a sales guy that is going to contribute to your business, right? There are a set of activities we do, not just an email, not just a call, not just a meeting with a prospect. There are a number of activities we do to make a prospect to a customer. That, as we all understand, that's where we will be able to build something known as an influence model in your Salesforce. What is influence model? You are creating a multi-touch point journey for your customer and you are targeting those accounts. Now, what does this dashboard do? This dashboard gives you a clear insight of how a different multi-touch influence model has contributed to the sales. See, as you see in this example, you have published an advertisement and you have had your SDRs calling your prospects, and that particular influence model has contributed to a certain number of sales. So this is what the multi-touch attribution provides. And finally, the final dashboard is the pipeline dashboard. As the name says, how your prospect starts his journey as a visitor, and what is the how efficient is your funnel such a way that you are able to close deals at the end. So this is the dashboard that provides you a kind of a life cycle snapshot. For example, let's take the same dashboard here. You have 253k visitors, but you have closed 103, right? So now with that large volume of visitors, you have 103 opportunities that are closed. So at various stages, how many visitors are converted as prospects, prospects to leads, leads to MQLs, MQL to SQLs. This is the journey or the life cycle you will be able to extract from this pipeline, right? Hope as team we have provided you little insight as much as possible. Now let's move to the Q&A part. I'll hand over the control to Atul. Atul?
Thanks, Lokesh. I guess this was really interesting. It's one of my favorite part of all the features of Pardot. So the B2B marketing analytics is something which is one of the most upcoming and most used features. Now, Anandan, I would like to give it over to you and see if we have any more questions. There are a few on the Q&A part, which we have already answered in the chat.
Thank you, Atul. There were a lot of questions that kept coming on during our sessions, and we have been answering them almost as soon as possible. There are a few questions here that I would like to get your answers on, probably because I felt some of these are the questions that might also be useful for the other attendees. So just a few, because we need to wrap up here in a couple of minutes now. So my first question is, can we have multiple tracking codes in our website?
Lokesh, would you like to take it up?
Ilayamaran?
We can have multiple tracking code. For example, it's not a best practices to have a same Pardot accounts, multiple tracking code placing in website is not a best practices. You can use, like, if you have two different Pardot account, you can put that two tracking code in a website, but then it is not same account, two tracking code. It's not a best practices, and it will provide manipulated data. So don't do that.
Okay. The next question is on the engagement studio. What happens if I add a prospect to? I think we ran it through during our first session. Okay. What happens when I pause and edit the program and start again?
I'll take this question. We can pass and edit the program. It doesn't change much, but don't pass it in like too many days. For example, if there is any steps that includes 2 days or 3 days, those things can be skipped. So make sure you pass it at the right time and then restart the program at the right time.
Okay. And the final question for the day is, can I use dynamic content on the subject line?
Yes, you can use that as well. And we also showed that in our demo, I guess.
Perfect. So thank you, team. That was a very, very interesting session. I hope I'm echoing the sentiments of all the attendees today when I say I learned a lot of ways to leverage Pardot better. And I can't wait to try it out on my Pardot instance to start with. And for the attendees, we have answered all the questions that came in today. Should you have any other questions or need some information at a later point in time, please write to us at webinar@demandblue.com, and we'll be glad to send you the responses. Thank you, team. That was a hell of a great session, and thanks to all the attendees who are part of this session. And cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Anand.
Everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all for joining. Thank you.